back. It is the Vegas Take Sharp and Shapiro. So glad you could join us. Coming up at the bottom of the hour here, we're going to be joined in studio by Jerry Springer. It's going to be a lot of fun. So can't wait for that. Coming up here in just about 20 minutes or so. But we do want to get some reaction. Michael Avenatti, he always seems to throw some fireworks on this show. And we're taking your calls on that. 257-5396. Again, 702-257-5396. We covered everything from O.J. Simpson to Alyssa Milano going after him. We talked about Ocasio-Cortez. We talked about an update on the Avenatti, legal issues in regards to Nike and Donald Trump. Biff, we talked about everything. Give us a buzz. 257-5396 is the number to call. And let's start off with Andy. Andy, thanks for waiting patiently on hold. How are you?
Fantastic. I had a question that wasn't actually covered today, but Stormy Daniels signed a non-disclosure agreement and then obviously broke that. And Avenatti seemed to support that. Did you ever explain why that was okay?
Well, this is my understanding. They're saying that they broke their agreement, that Michael Cohen broke the agreement. That was the argument from day one. And the reason why, and by the way, I have talked to him about Stormy Daniels, but I don't know if you're unaware of this, Andy, but she has now filed a lawsuit against him claiming that he stole money from her with this book signing. And I did ask Avenatti about that, and he said that Stormy Daniels paid him only a $100 retainer fee, and that was it. Now, we all know Michael Avenatti got a lot of publicity. But in regards to what you're specifically talking about, I know Avenatti has talked about that numerous times, and the legal argument was that Cohen broke the agreement, and Trump never signed off on it, and there were other legal ramifications. They went back and forth on that. Obviously, it never went anywhere. Andy, I think what it comes down to is this, and I think we could agree on this. Donald Trump, Melania had just had a child. He cheated on her, had sex with Stormy Daniels, which is a disgusting act, okay? Mm-hmm. Stormy Daniels profited from it, okay? She absolutely did. Obviously, in my personal opinion, she doesn't have great taste in men, but that's beside the point. But she profited from it. Avenatti, you could say he profited from it, but I think he's suffering for it now because I think all those TV appearances that he did, I think a lot of people opened the books on him, and I hope he gets through it okay. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But as far as Stormy Daniels goes, in my personal opinion, she's trash. And not because of what she does for a living. I have no problem with porn stars. I believe what she's doing to Michael Avenatti is wrong. Avenatti only accepted $100 from her. They had some sort of agreement. I believe Michael Avenatti is too smart of a guy to steal money from somebody like that, and number one. And number two, there'd be some sort of paper trail. He would get in trouble for doing it, so I don't believe her.
Right. No, I just always seem confusing as to once you sign a non-disclosure, how can you get around it?
Well, here's the other thing, Andy, that I didn't mention. They claim that it broke campaign finance law. So if you claim something like that, then the books have to be opened and it has to be looked at.
Well, I think that was way before the campaign finance thing payoff happened. But whatever.
No. I agree with you, but the problem is that one of the payments was made a week and a half, 2 weeks before. That was the issue at hand. Where did that money come from? We know that Michael Cohen received some payments because he showed that in front of Congress. So, that was the issue there, Andy. I tried to answer your question best I can, my friend.
Okay, and you had the other things. I mean, I'm definitely for medical research and some of the other questions if you wanted to ask any of those other questions, because I think Donald Jr. is just such a lightweight. He doesn't serve his father well. What can I say?
Andy, I could not agree with you more, my friend, and we appreciate the call. Thank you so much for calling in. 257-5396 is the number to call. Again, 702-257-5396. A little Mike Avenatti reaction from that interview. Let's go to Eric. Eric, what's up?
Hey, guys. How are you?
Doing good, Eric. What's on your mind?
Good. Just a couple of things. I think it's great he's got your show as kind of an outlet because he gets brutalized on social media. And
unfortunately, yeah.
He had to lock his account. It got so bad. So I'm glad he's got that.
Eric, can I just say this? I've personally had to block almost literally 500 people on social media that were attacking us for having Michael Avenatti on the show.
And what's even worse is those that are listening to this show will make it even worse. Now we're going to have to block another 2,000 or 3,000.
I don't think Eric is one of those people.
He's not, absolutely.
Go ahead, Eric. Go ahead.
Yeah, here's another. It's kind of a tough question, but he's accused of wire fraud, bank fraud, extortion, embezzlement, tax evasion, identity theft, and bankruptcy fraud.
Correct.
Who do you think is lying? Like, are all these people that claim he stole their settlement money lying? Is the IRS
Well, here's what I'll say to that. I have absolutely no idea. And the reason why I say that is because I don't have all the evidence in front of me. I don't know. I hope Michael Avenatti is innocent. And the reason why I say that is because I like the guy. I do. But if he is found guilty, we are absolutely going to cover it. We are absolutely going to talk about it. And I will absolutely be very disappointed.
If he's found guilty, will you kick him off the show?
Well, no, I wouldn't. Absolutely not. And here's why. Because I think he's extremely intelligent. I think he's a great guest, and I think he's funny.
Okay.
Just because just because you've committed a crime doesn't mean I'm not going to have you on the show. Hey, Jerry Springer's coming up next segment. He got a hooker, and he wrote off a check to a hooker, but I'm still having him on. So just for the record, Eric.
Could Michael call in from prison?
I don't know. Maybe we could hook up an ISDN line. I hope he doesn't go to prison, Eric, because I like the guy, but I appreciate the call. Thank you so much for calling in. We appreciate it, Eric. 257-5396. Let's go to Jessica. Jessica, what's up?
Hi, guys. I was calling to give my reaction to the Michael Avenatti interview.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to say I'm glad that he's doing well, and I'm glad that he was exonerated for those domestic violence allegations.
Yes. That's very important.
Yeah, and doesn't he have another trial date coming up in June for California?
I know he just told us today that this Nike thing, he's got a court date for that. And look, he's got a lot of things going. He's got a lot of weight, and like he said, he's in the fight of his life. And I hope he didn't commit any of these crimes. I really don't.
I hope he didn't either, because I really like him. And, I'm rooting for him. I really wanted him to run for president. And, I'm always thinking about him. Does he listen to these comments that we leave?
He absolutely does, and you should find him on Twitter, because I know he would appreciate them, Jessica, if you put them on Twitter as well.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well,
Jessica, he has my support, and I wish him the best.
Thank you. Thank you for calling in,
All
Jessica. We appreciate that. 257-5396, 702-257-5396. JD, do you want to jump in with something? Okay, I'm sorry. 257-5396. Let's go to Chuck. Chuck, what's up?
Yeah, 4 quick points. One, you had a mask guy, I'll get to Avenatti here in a minute, Jonathan, a few weeks ago.
Can you repeat that, Chuck? I'm sorry, I didn't quite get what you said.
Yeah, you had a guest on the math.
John Brookhagen.
Yeah, John Brookhagen is his name.
Infinity the Math Institute.
I was one of the winners, and I took my grandson to that, and he loved it. Just want to.
Oh, great!
Perfect.
That is
fantastic.
That is very nice to hear, Chuck. I will pass that word along to John.
We will definitely tell that.
Appreciate that
to Mr. Brookhagen.
Yeah.
And they did a Constitution class, which is even better.
Oh, cool. Well, you know what? I'm really
out there for other listeners.
I am very glad to hear that, Chuck. Thank you.
And the other, and Avenatti, who's the lawyer for that Nike case? Do you know? Is it anybody we know?
I don't know. I would imagine it's a pretty damn good one. If you're a lawyer for a multi-billion-dollar company, they're probably going to hire a pretty good lawyer.
Will you find out for next time?
Yeah, I can. Well, I can ask Michael. I'll just text Michael, and I'm sure he'll tell me, because I'm sure he knows. Yeah.
And then the other one, the deep state. I want to hear both you and JD. Do you believe in the deep state or the shadow? And the fourth thing on the other Trump, the little Trump you're talking about,
Don Jr. Yes.
Yeah, on those comments, I kind of agree with you on that, but. The other Biden, the Hunter Biden, the one that the Army discharged for cocaine use, are you familiar with that?
I'm not.
Well, he's the one that the Ukrainian government is paying him 50 G's a month that the older Biden, Joe, brokered, and there was some Chinese deals. But anyway, the one that died from the cancer,
yes,
the Hunter had an affair with his wife.
Are you talking about Joe Biden's son?
Yeah, the one that passed. The other Biden.
You're saying Hunter Biden had an affair with Joe Biden's other son, who died of cancer's wife.
Correct.
All right. Well, to me,
it sounds like Legends of the Fall.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to comment on that because, number one, I don't know. What we do know is that Donald Trump is the cheater in chief. That's what we know.
I don't agree. I don't necessarily agree with the deep state, but I do think that a lot of the people in power in the United States are very well connected.
Yeah.
And have conversations on a consistent basis, and that goes for celebrities, politicians, athletes, musicians, etc.
Chuck, I appreciate the call. Thank you. Appreciate you calling in. 257-5396 is the number to call. Again, 257-5396. Let's go to Chris. Chris, what's up?
Hey, Chris.
Hey, what's up? So I love this show. I just came across this show, and this is great. I got quite a few comments, but
sure.
I love the fact that you call Don Jr. best. I mean, That's great. What an idiot. Okay, first of all, and if he ever runs for president, we are done. Okay, because right now anybody could be president. I mean, look at Donald Trump up there. Is the biggest idiot of all.
I just want to say this, though.
Honestly, I don't think that Donald Trump would endorse his son for president.
He probably would. I mean, he endorses Jared Kushner, probably arguably the third most important job on the planet. I just want to say this. I want to give Michael Avenatti credit for that because he is the one who came up with the term biff. He gave me permission to use it.
He did coin it.
Yes, he did.
And that was real interesting to hear about the whole Nike thing because with the whole college scandal that just happened with the Full House, it's very interesting that this is coming up, and I'm gonna research this some more and read up on it. But I like this attorney. I like the show. I don't know what else I was gonna say, but
that's okay.
So many things.
Hey, listen, I appreciate those kind words, Chris. Thank you so much for calling in. We appreciate it. Do you live here in Vegas?
I will be calling back again. So
where do you live?
In Vegas.
Okay, well, why don't you come out and meet us tomorrow night? We're going to be at Rodizio. We're broadcasting live. Why don't you come by and say hello?
Where is it? The Henderson? Is that what I said?
Yes. It's a perfect segue to bring this up. Rodizio is at 1300 West Sunset Road in Henderson. We're going to be broadcasting, doing our show live from 6 to 8. There's going to be free appetizers and drinks. Get there at 5 o'clock. We'll say hello to you and say hello to all the listeners. We hope you can come out.
Yes, I love to meet you guys. I'll be there.
All right. We'll see you there, Chris. Thank you very much for calling in. Again, that's Rodizio. We will be broadcasting live tomorrow night. There will be some celebrity guests in attendance. I can't say who. It's going to be a surprise, but they will be there. A few names that if I mention them, you'll know who they are. That's all I'm going to say. It'll be a surprise. They'll be there tomorrow. Again, 1300 West Sunset Road in Henderson. We'll be out there broadcasting live from 6 to 8 p.m. Coming up here in just a little bit, we'll just about 10, 15 minutes or so, we'll be joined by Jerry Springer. I want to talk about this real quickly because, number one, I think it's important. I grew up a big, Boston Red Sox fan, and I've had the luxury of meeting David Ortiz a few times. We all know what took place, right, where he got shot. He had to go through 2 surgeries. This story is just getting, JD, this story is just getting weirder and weirder. Did you hear about this? Let me just explain to the listeners, and then I want to get your reaction. It appears now that David Ortiz was not the intended target of the murder-for-hire plot that ended in the former Red Sox star being shot. This is according to authorities from the Dominican Republic. Now, the person who shot Ortiz did say behind bars to the media that he was not the intended target, that it was, in fact, Ortiz's friend who was wearing similar clothing. Prosecutor Jean Rodriguez-Sanchez telling reporters that a friend of Ortiz, Sixto David Fernandez, I believe that's his name, who was seated at Ortiz's table, was in fact the target of the bungled hit. Fernandez and Ortiz were wearing similar clothes, as I mentioned. It is incredible. Authorities identified the mastermind behind the attack as Victor Hugo Gomez. He lives in the United States and is wanted by the DEA. So the guy that really was behind this, yes, he didn't pull the trigger, but he is the one that ordered the hit on allegedly David Ortiz's friend. He is somewhere in the United States, and the DEA is involved. They're looking for this guy. Now, the good news is that David Ortiz is doing well. His condition is now good. You want to talk about scary, because I remember the night we heard about this. First, we heard he was shot in the leg. Then we heard he was shot in the back, and I'm thinking, oh, my God. Not to say you can't die by being shot in the leg. You could bleed to death. But when someone says you're shot in the back, the first thing to me comes to mind is, might not make it. This guy went through 2 surgeries. He lost most of his intestines and his gallbladder, but he's in good condition now. And right before going into surgery, we reported on this, right before going into surgery, Ortiz tells the doctor, I'm a good man, don't let me die. Oh, I mean, obviously his life will never be the same. Even though doctors are saying he's going to make a 100% recovery physically, he'll never be the same man mentally. And I hope these bastards and this guy, Victor Hugo Gomez, who I guess was the mastermind, JD. But when you first hear this story, JD, what was your reaction that he wasn't even the guy that was supposed to be killed or shot?
It sounds, I mean, I don't trust anything out of the DR right now. You've seen all these different Americans dying at these resorts at Punta Cana, et cetera, of just get in their hotel room, they get a glass, they take a drink, and then they're suddenly dead 5 minutes later. I trust nothing out of the DR right now. I think this is a cover-up by the police department and the government because Ortiz was definitely the target.
So let me ask you this then, and that's an interesting.
I'm serious.
No, I know you're serious. That's an interesting point you're making. What do you think is their reason? What would be their reasoning for doing something like that, though? I mean, why would they cover it up like that? Why would they do that?
Because David Ortiz is a national hero there. It makes them look absolutely terrible. Because clearly someone was complicit in finding out where he was. Clearly Victor Hugo Gomez, who was a huge, huge drug dealer, hired somebody to murder him. Apparently, yes.
I didn't know that.
And he was shot, and again, he was shot once in the back. This guy, David Ortiz, was having relations with this person's wife.
Mm-hmm.
He was shot once in the back because he wanted him to suffer. And that makes sense to me. The goal was to paralyze him. It wasn't to kill him.
So you're saying this is a very, very big cover-up.
I think this is a huge cover-up. Absolutely.
Whew.
Big Papi's a big deal in DR.
I'm going to tell you something. This guy, Victor Gomez, is going to be found.
And the news that comes out of there just gets worse and worse and worse.
No,
and
it does.
What American citizen right now wants to visit the DR as a tourist?
Not me, that's for sure.
Absolutely not.
You might as well go to Afghanistan. You might be safer. Go to Iraq.
So, to me, and I call this a conspiracy thought process, but it does sound like a cover-up to me.
Listen, I don't know if it's a huge conspiracy. I think a lot of people would probably agree with you. I never really thought of that. I'm just trying to listen. When I think of a quote-unquote conspiracy, the first thing that comes to mind is, well, why? What is the motive? And you make a good point there. You know, I talk to a lot of people about 9/11, a lot of people who think that 9/11 was an inside job. And I say, well, why? And then some of them give me some legitimate reasons. Some don't. But when I hear of any type of conspiracy, I want to know why. Why the conspiracy? Who's benefiting from it? And what you're saying is that the reason why they're saying Ortiz wasn't the guy is because you're right. He's a hometown hero. He's a legend there, and it makes the country look bad.
And he's a big deal in the United States as well, clearly.
Well, of course he is.
He's a top 5 known player in baseball in the last 20
home
years.
Runs. Of course
and he's one of the most clutch players in the World Series.
Oh, he was incredible. He was
unbelievable.
He definitely was better than Mo Vaughn was in the playoffs, that's for sure.
So, and with all this negative info coming out about the DR because of the deaths from all these tourists, et cetera, this just adds on to it. So I think it's kind of to stop the bleeding. Say, hey, no, David Ortiz was not the target. It was his friend.
That's interesting.
It gets his name out of the equation.
Do you think there's a so do you think they told the shooter, listen, well, we're going to ease your sentence? Because, by the way, the shooter also said this. The shooter said that Ortiz was not the guy, but then we're hearing reports.
The shooter said this a week after.
That's what I was just going to say. Right after the shooting, when they interrogated him, allegedly, he did admit that David Ortiz was the right guy.
Exactly.
That is interesting. So maybe you're saying, hypothetically, somebody might have, in law, might have gone up to him and said, hey, listen, you're going to say that Ortiz was not the guy, and then, we'll give you a break on blah, 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 blah. Maybe we won't put you in jail for the rest of your life.
We've all seen Traffic. We've all seen Sicario.
It's a great movie.
These movies are based on how it really is down there.
Sicario's a great movie.
It is.
Yeah.
So is the second one.
What is his name? Who's the guy in that movie?
Benicio del Toro.
Yes, Del Toro. You ever see the movie Swimming with Sharks?
I have not.
He was in that one. That's a great. Well, talk about a disgrace, Kevin Spacey. Every time I watch Kevin Spacey now on TV, all I think about is pedophile. That's all that goes through my mind. He's such a talented actor, though.
Didn't that just destroy his entire career?
Oh, he's done.
I mean, Usual Suspects, American Beauty.
It's done. He's done. How about Seven?
House of Cards.
Let me tell you something. The last 20 minutes in Seven is some of the best piece of acting I have ever seen. Kevin Spacey plays such a great madman there. That last 10 minutes of that movie is so suspenseful. What's in the box? Anyway, Brad Pitt. That's right, Brad Pitt in person. No, but every time I watch Kevin Spacey now.
That was really good, man.
Yeah, thank you. I can't do a Morgan Freeman, so I won't even try that one. But that is the last 10 minutes of that movie, Kevin Spacey. There's a reason why he's made so many successful movies. It's too bad that he's a scumbag pedophile who probably belongs in jail. What a disgrace that guy is the rest of his life. I wish he spent the rest of his life in jail.
But look at it this way. I mean, someone who can literally change themselves to be a different person or a different character so accurately and so effectively. I mean, they got to have something kind of wild upstairs, don't they?
Well, that's a valid point, but it's another one of your conspiracy theories.
It's not a conspiracy theory at all.
Well, that's true. Certainly, I think it's the reason why Jeremy Piven was so good in Entourage, because he's such a scumbag in real life.
He just played himself.
We got to take a break. Listen, this is going to be a lot of fun, guys. When we come back, the legend himself, Jerry Springer, is going to be joining us in studio when we come back. You're listening to the Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDWN. FM 720 AM KDWN. FM 720 AM KDWN.